Cavin with a wedding photographer based in San Diego, and today I'm going to be sharing 6 things that couples often forget to budget for in their wedding budget. Just jumping right in here, the first thing that couples often forget to think about when they are budgeting for their wedding are wardrobe alterations. So to talk about wedding dress alterations, brides for some reason come into my wedding boutique and a lot of times think that wedding dress alterations are included in the cost of the wedding dress, and I have no idea where brides are getting this from because I surveyed over 188 stores in a Facebook group that I am in for bridal boutique owners, and not a single store said that they include the cost of alterations in their wedding dress price. I found that 188 stores said that they did not include alterations in the price of their dresses. One store said that they sometimes include alterations. Not one single store includes alterations in the price of their dresses, and that is a lot of stores. So I could not find anything on the internet that said that they're included. So I don't know where this idea came from, but I am here to tell you that it is like rare, if non-existent. So if you have found a store that includes alterations with the price of a wedding dress, that is a very rare thing. So please make sure that you are budgeting separately, and I would say to budget at least $400 for quality wedding dress alterations, if not maybe 600 plus, depending on where you live. If you live in a very small city, it might be less than that. If you live in a big city, it could be more than that. So just keep that in mind for alterations. My bridal boutique is usually $700 to $900. We are a luxury boutique, and our seamstress has been doing this for over 30 years. So we are definitely on the higher end. Some stores are lower, so it just really depends, but make sure that you include this. Now for grooms, having their tuxedo or their suits, grooms I find are usually renting rather than buying. If they're buying, definitely have it altered, but I find that a lot of times when you're renting, they can't really do permanent tailoring or permanent alterations. So they will just do very temporary alterations, but make sure that you are getting some kind of rental that includes some sort of tailoring so that on the wedding day itself, your suit or your tuxedo that you are wearing looks like it has at least been tailored to some degree, because an untailored or unaltered suit or tuxedo looks absolutely horrendous in photos. If it's baggy and ill-fitting, it looks terrible. There's nothing worse than an ill-fitted suit or tuxedo in photos. Like, I could do an entire video on this. It looks so bad. I can spot it from a mile away, somebody who has not tailored their suit to their body. So please make sure that you are doing some sort of rental service that includes some kind of temporary alteration that they do so that it looks like it is fitted to your body, or at least get it in the closest size possible to your body. Again, I could do a whole video on this. It is very important. Make sure clothes look tailored. Now the second is that a lot of couples do not have a rain plan budgeted in their wedding budget. Now if you live somewhere where it rains at all ever, even in San Diego, it can rain in certain months of the year, you need to budget for a rain plan, whether that is to have a tent on hand or rent out a separate room in your venue. You need to have some sort of items budgeted for a rain plan in order to make sure that if it does rain, that you have that money on hand to spend should you need it. Because the last thing that you want to have happen is have no money left over, or you go into debt, or you go broke, or you go over budget in your wedding plans because it rained. You do not want that to happen. The third thing is vendor meals. A lot of couples forget to budget for vendor meals. You do need to feed the vendors who are going to be working through your reception, because it's not like they can leave and go get their own food. And it is so nice as a vendor to have a hot meal over the reception, and it is in a lot of vendor contracts. So whoever specifies in their contract that they need to be fed, you do need to be feeding them, and you do pay for this through your venue. So make sure that you are budgeting for this. Now this could cost anywhere from like $100 to a couple $100 depending on how many vendors you have to feed and how much your venue charges for it. So let's say you only have a couple of vendors, then it might not be very much, but let's say you've got a full band, like a 10-piece band, and you've got a couple photographers and videographers and several planners. then you're going to be paying a couple $100s for vendor meals. So it really depends on how many people you have and how much your venue charges. Your venue might charge like $60 per vendor meal, and that's a lot, so it could add up very quickly. Make sure you budget for this. The next one is tipping, and I have a whole video all about tipping, so make sure you guys watch that. I break it down into who usually gets tipped, who always gets tipped, and who you never really tip at all. So make sure you guys watch that so you know who to budget for tips. But definitely go see that and watch that and then budget for it in your wedding budget. The next one is transportation and lodging. A lot of couples forget about this entirely. You are likely going to be staying in a hotel for your wedding weekend, so you're going to want to budget for that. If you and your spouse-to-be are staying in separate rooms on the night before the wedding, that's 2 rooms that you're going to have to be paying for. So make sure that you calculate this into your wedding budget because it is part of the wedding, so don't forget about it. Also, your transportation. How are you getting to the hotel the weekend of the wedding? Are you taking your own car there? Are you flying to your wedding city? Factor in that airfare. Are you taking Ubers to and from the airport? Are you taking Ubers between your wedding venue and your hotel for your wedding? How many venues are there? Is there a separate ceremony site and a separate reception site and a hotel? Are there 3 locations, 2 locations, 1 location? How are you getting between them? Is there a wedding shuttle? All of these different things you guys need to be budgeting for. So lodging and transportation all count towards your wedding budget. So put that in there. The last one that I wanted to mention mostly applies to outdoor weddings, but it could also apply to indoor weddings too. So if you guys are having to use electrical, so if you're having an outdoor wedding and you are having generators or some sort of power source, maybe your DJ needs electrical and you are having to pay for that from your venue, you need to budget for something like that. For our wedding venue, we had it outdoors and they made us pay for the electricals. We had to budget for that. And then also your lighting. So lighting indoors or lighting outdoors, and this also ties into electrical as well. You do have to budget for lighting. So whether you're doing market lights or string lights or up lights, all of the things of lighting that you have to rent and then pay for the electrical for, you need to budget for in your wedding. So this could apply to an outdoor or an indoor wedding, but it definitely applies to outdoor weddings because usually there's no light outside other than the moonlight. So you will have to pay for the lighting and make sure to budget for it. So I hope that you guys are making plans for all of these things that I've talked about. And don't forget about little things like stamps, postage, stuff like that. The little things are really easy to forget about. So you might want to even create a little category for miscellaneous and put a couple $100s in there just so you have some overage, or even an emergency fund, something like an addition to the rain plan, and put as much money as you can think about in there, just so you guys have some emergency unexpected funds that could come up and maybe you don't use it and that's great, and then you have extra left over that you can save or just put towards something else like your honeymoon after the fact. But anyways, I hope that you guys found this video helpful. If you are not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. I put out videos every Tuesday, and then go follow me on Instagram at Cavin Elizabeth, and hopefully I will see you guys over there, and I will see you next week. Bye!